to talk to you about suppression of Christian religious minority in Egypt. Christians of Egypt, also known as Copts, have been living under discrimination, oppression, and persecution for almost 1,430 years. The world now beginning to hear and know about Copts and their problem thanks to the immigration opportunity from Egypt to the civilized Western countries initiated half a century back. But moreover, thanks to the technological advance in communication, in spite of new era of communication and Western freedoms, Copts face another threat called political correctness, which began almost at the same time a half century back. The original purpose of political correctness was for respecting others and fighting discrimination and oppression. Political interest shifted that purpose to fit certain interests, but overall to shut down freedom. In the last few years, freedom of speech and other forms of freedom of expression were challenged by political correctness with the intention to discourage and suppress citizens from expressing idea, frustration, complaints about every obvious issues. Political correctness can be seen when changing the names of facts. For example, terrorists. We can call them fedayeen or fighter for their rights or anything else under political correctness, but we never call them terrorists. Also, Christian symbols became offensive. Christian greeting have to be changed to something else that does not indicate Christian events. Almost everything in today's life is treated in the political correct manner. I would not be surprised to see in few years from now all churches goers labeled Republican being rights and politically incorrect. Personally, I feel this is a new form of oppression and discrimination. As a Copt, I can say that Copts have been living under political correctness for more than 1,400 years. In fact, Copts were unable to keep their own language and forced to speak the language of those who occupied their country. Copts could not pray in their own place of worship if not following certain direction and rules given by the occupant leaders. And for this you could see the Hamayuni decrees or Ramelah. The Western world is refusing to sit back, think, and decide the right things because of this brainwashing that has taken place for decades in our society and our school. For me, it is very simple to look at Egyptian history and relate it to the future of the West. Westerns, on the other hand, are unable to do that for one obvious reason, namely political correctness. The majority of you will know that women in West suffer discrimination in various ways, because women do not hold the power in each culture and society as men, though they are the part of humanity that tends to suffer in silence their discrimination and oppression. As a human rights organization, I am asking each and every one of you to stand up and speak up for women, for women's right, dignity, and the quality of life. Coptic women as well need your help without political correctness. Things need to be spelled out loud and clear. Coptic women, girls, are targeted for a specific plan of forced Islamization in Egypt. And actually abducting women and child is one of the most horrible crimes of the civilized society. Is met by stern punishment. In Egypt, on the other hand, the opposite of morality is occurring. I would like to emphasize that I cannot compare Egypt with any Western or civil country. Any crime committed against a Coptic woman is treated without morality, conscience, and legal deterrence. It is an outrage to receive reports of such facts from a country that was once considered the cradle of humanity. I cannot consider the aggression against Coptic women and girls merely random act to the following facts. The first one, it is happening exclusively to Coptic women and girls. The second fact, back in 33 years ago, in a moment of desperation, Coptic Pope publicly denounced forced conversions of Coptic women and girls. Coptic Pope Shenouda III, in one of his weekly meetings on and around December 17, 1976, in Alexandria, in conference, he said, and I quote, "There is a pressure being practiced to convert Coptic girls to embrace Islam and marry them under terror to Muslim husbands." Furthermore, he demanded that the return of those abducted girls to their families. Now, and after 33 years, we can say that abduction of Coptic women is not just a passing phenomenon, but is part of widespread plan aimed to clean the Middle East and Egypt of Christians. I could also whisper to all of you that the same plan in effect in the West, but in different ways and with different methods. The Western legal system is clearly the only element keeping this phenomenon inactive. On the other hand, and in a country like Egypt, the regime has direct responsibility over everything that has happened and happening to any Copt or Coptic person. I could simply say that if the state unwilling to protect its citizens, then the state is complicit and effectively perpetrated against the Copts. Many Westerners think of Copts as simply a minority in Egypt. However, Copts are the real Egyptians who were forced to speak Arabic. Copts have the complete right to be protected by those governing them or through the international body. I am not referring to Copts in terms of their religion, but in terms of their heritage. Considering the politically correct environment that we live in, many of you here today maybe consider what I have said an exaggeration and even label me fighting to alleviate oppression, discrimination, and persecution is worth any label given.